Jack Rackham rallies the pirates in the defense of Nassau. Blackbeard reveals his motivations for being part of it, and in one of the most poignant scenes of the series, John Silver lets Flint know his hand in stealing the Urca gold. The chips fall in this episode of Black Sails, Season 3, Episode 3, 21. Alright, spoilers ahead, lots of spoilers, just so you've been warned. This was a huge episode. Tons of information being dropped, one of the chunkiest that we have seen so far. I'm just really going to try and hit the high points and get through this all quickly. Nassau discovers the English fleet is coming. 8 ships plus the men. They've got 12 ships plus 1,000 men. Jack Rackham is rallying the pirate captains for the defense of Nassau. This is what they're here for. He is committed to it, Vane is committed to it, and he has paid out a lot of money to the pirates for the anticipation of this invasion, which is now right at their doorstep. The main problem that they have is Flint is missing. He's been missing for weeks. And without him, they don't feel that they have anybody knowledgeable enough to really orchestrate the pirate fleet, set up the ships for the proper defense of Nassau. And in walks Blackbeard, dropping the news that Flint is dead, as Hornigold reported to the English Navy. So with Flint out of the picture, there's nobody to run the fleet, except possibly for him. Sure, Blackbeard volunteers to do this, but at one cost, and that cost is Vane. Vane was his protege. Vane was the guy that he was training before Eleanor Guthrie forced him out. It's since been 8 years. He's gone through 9 marriages, has no kids. He wants to leave something behind, an image of himself, and he sees Vane as that image. He doesn't want Vane for that Vane is going to make him better, that Vane is going to increase his profits, as he says. He wants Vane there because he wants him out of Nassau, he wants him free, and he wants to be able to finish molding him in his own image, to which Vane is willing to do so. It takes a lot because Vane is probably the most honorable of the pirates, and he's probably one of the most brutal as well, the most feared, but he is also highly respected, and what Vane says that he is going to do, he does. He has promised to defend Nassau. Blackbeard sees that he's not going to get Vane to go back on his word. That's not the type of person that he is. So Blackbeard's willing to help him out if, once it's done, Vane is going to go with him. What they don't know is that Woods is on a timetable. The English Navy has 8 weeks to take over Nassau, obtain the Urca gold, and return it to Havana. Why? Because the Spanish, who've been helping to finance this trip, helping to back Woods's approach here on that basis that he can get their gold back. And if he does not, they're sending 10 ships and 1,500 men to raise Nassau, get the gold, and take it back. So while Woods wants to take over the island, he wants to become the new governor and do it peaceably, he realizes he has a time frame in order to do it. He can't wait them out. He can't use his supplies, use his numbers, use his position for a long, protracted battle. He has a pushed time frame in order to do this. So after Blackbeard is successfully positions the pirate ships to defend the entrance to the harbor, Woods is kind of stuck in a bad position. He can't send in the English ships. He can't risk the damage to them. He is on a timetable, so he can't risk a protracted, drawn-out battle. So he volunteers to go down to Nassau in a longboat, hit the beach himself, and make his big proclamation. The problem is, of course, is he will never survive. If they don't kill him, they'll capture him. They're certainly not going to listen to him. They could send Eleanor, but she's not really well respected either. There's just enough people that are wanting to kill her as the English. They do have, however, Benjamin Hornigold, who helped found Nassau, and as far as the pirates know, sank Flint's ship and killed Flint. So he heads down to the harbor and makes the big proclamation. The new governor of New Providence Island, where Nassau is, will grant you all a pardon if you embrace the English crown and renounce violence and piracy. No matter what you've done, no matter what you have done, you will be pardoned. This is huge. Piracy is a massive crime, murder, theft, anything that they've done, complete pardon. Accept us, you are a free man. Except for Vane. Charles Vane has a 10,000-pound bounty on his head now, dead or alive. Between those two offerings, you have a lot of pirates willing to turn on Nassau. And then we have Flint, Silver, and the crew of the Walrus. They have been trapped in the doldrums. Again, that section of the ocean where there's no current and no wind. They have been trapped there for weeks. We get to see them from day 12, day 18, day 21, out of food, out of water. They're having to catch eels and anything they can in order to drain the blood out of them in order to get some ration, some liquid that they can drink. Two crew members at one point are accused of stealing food, and Flint just walks up and shoots them both in the head. Now the first guy, I think he got it off easy. Flint just walked up and shot him. It was the second guy that had to watch Flint reload his pistol. And again, this is a flintlock, so you've got to put the powder in, and then you got to take the wadding, and then you got to take the ball, and then you got to push it all. This is not an easy process to see him doing. I think the second guy really got it worse. And all of this is reinforcing a lot of the conversation that has happened between Flint, between Silver and Billy especially. Without water, without food, dehydration starts to set in, anger, emotions, hallucinations. Everybody's afraid of everyone else doing this. And Flint has been haunted by the ghost of Miranda. From the last episode and through this episode, he is seeing her. On day 21 really is the most poignant, and this is the one that I really wanted to focus on today. In terms of staging, in terms of how it is shot, in terms of what is said in the information relayed, I think it is one of the better sequences that has happened in the entire series. As Flint is starting to hallucinate in his own dreams, and he gets that sort of spectral message from the ghost of Miranda. Really wonderful staging, how they had the two of them facing each other, but one was foreground and one was background, so while from a camera perspective they're seeing each other, they're not looking at each other. And the way that they're conveying those messages, I thought was just a very powerful way of visually expressing what it is that is going on between them. And as she tells him, Captain McGraw was who Flint was before he accepted himself. Once he did, specifically the love affair with Thomas and with her and being ejected from England, becoming Flint. Flint is really the man that he is supposed to be. But he needs to accept that, accept who he is, accept the reality of the world around him, and then release Miranda out. She is going to help guide him. And again, nice waylaying as she's in the boat and taking him out in his dreams. And then what is he seeing in front of him is the launch in the ship. And then beyond that, the pirates reacting to whatever is being seen. And in this case, we find is the whale carcass. Huge, could provide food, could provide water long enough for them to make it to land. But there's only two people that have been eating. Early on, we had Flint cutting rations for everyone. Rations only for people that are necessary for piloting the ship, for hoisting the sails. If people aren't eating enough, they're not going to have the energy to hoist the sails. They're not going to have energy to pilot the ship once the wind picks up, and in which case they are all dead. So Flint's been having to make hard decisions, and Billy and Silver not always agreeing with them. Again, afraid that the dehydration is really getting into his system. So it all again builds up to this point. Once they see it, And Silver has to make that stand. Hey, you and I have been the only two eating lately. Get in the damn boat. Stop complaining and get in the boat. Let's repeat that vision that Miranda saw. And in the boat, we get the big reveal, where Silver admits to Flint his position in taking the Urca gold for him. That it was Silver who came up with the plan, got the two pirates to let Rackham know that these, to basically tell the story that the gold was taken, and yet have them let Rackham know, sell the information, and go and get the gold. It was all Silver. And he is tired of Flint talking down to the crew, believing that he is above them, and Flint does not want to be counted on him. The conversation between him and Billy. The only reason that Flint was listening to Gates, that Flint would listen to Miranda, the only people that would make him change his mind is because he respected him. He saw him as equals, and Silver needs to step into that position, and that's what this is all about. This is what it's all building up, to let Flint know that Silver is just as strong, just as smart, and just as devious as Flint is. And again, a great tension of the two. I mean, Silver can see Flint, but of course his back is to him, so he has to guess, and he's reaching back for that hook just in case. He's got to be ready to know the two of them are better off as partners than fighting each other. And why doesn't Flint attack Silver? It wasn't the admission of the gold. It wasn't his intelligence. It wasn't taking it. It wasn't the successful deception. Why doesn't Flint kill Silver at that point? Why isn't there a huge fight? Because Silver gave away his portion of the gold. He couldn't take the gold. He couldn't take his share. And he couldn't do it because if he did, he couldn't come back to the ship. And therefore, he would just be an invalid. He needs the men. What we were seeing in the last couple of episodes, how his connection in with the crew, this is why. He needs them more than he needs the gold. And seeing that, that's where I think Flint and Silver really create that bond. It is not really about them, because again, even Flint was not about taking the gold for himself. His whole reason for getting the gold, for getting the Urca gold, was to defend Nassau, to put him in the position for where they exactly need to be right now, that they need the gold, they need the men in order to mount an effective defense and keep Nassau free. That's what Flint's goal is. And so when he sees Silver doing all of this work and even taking the gold, I mean, again, Flint still got the gold. He still has his share. It's all still in Nassau. Its purpose is still being served. So why he may not like the deception, the fact that Silver isn't really doing it selfishly, I think is what made that connection between the two of them and allowed them to kind of have that bonding moment afterwards with hunting the sharks, which, as an aside, if you guys have ever played Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, it was just a wonderful recreation of those whole sequences with going after the shark and in the boat and throwing everything. It was just a really nice sequence, very visceral, very, I think it was a nice flashback to actually Jaws. I could almost hear John Williams' music in the background, when they're hooked in the shark and they're holding on with the boat and just ready to bring him in. So it was a great bonding moment afterwards, but that whole sequence I think really is the most poignant that they've had yet on the series. It really makes that statement that it's about the two of them working together. And I think also clues in slightly what eventually becomes that Silver is the only man that Flint fears. This is what we hear in Treasure Island, obviously decades down the road, but I think we can see a nice setup of this right here. And that was the episode. Of course, as it ends, we've got pirates defecting to the English side, laying down their arms and joining Hornigold, and then we see the Urca land on an island where, I don't know, could be African. I don't think they could have gotten quite that far in that amount of period, so resettlation in the Pacific, Haiti maybe? I don't know where it is they landed. We're obviously going to find out this next week, because next week is when it's going to start coming to a head. The British are coming in. We've got revolts. We've got people going after Vane for the bounty that's been laid upon his head. And the walrus is going to have to return to an embattled Nassau. A lot of excitement. Can't wait till next week. Also, FYI, next week, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Deadpool comes out. I'm going to try and get a review on that. Again, it's a very busy week, so I will do my best to get that up. Then we've got Black Sails, and then we have the return of The Walking Dead next Sunday, the 14th, Valentine's Day, and I will be back to doing reviews of The Walking Dead as well. So, a lot of stuff going on the next week or so. It's very exciting. I hope you guys come back, join us as we talk about it. Please press the like button if you enjoyed what I had to say. Feel free to subscribe. Comments in the section below. Always appreciated. I am back here every week talking Black Sails. I'm doing Agent Carter. We're going back to Walking Dead. Lots of stuff happening. I hope you come back and check it out. You can catch me on Twitter. I'm at Darren Jakes. I'm D, and I will see you guys later on. Bye-bye.